Welcome back to Thriving in the Messy Middle, the podcast for women leaders who are done pretending that they've got it all figured out and are instead choosing to grow, shift, and lead from the inside out. Now, if you're in a season of transition, holding space for everyone else while quietly wondering what's next for you, or you're navigating changes that feel bigger than what your title prepared you for, take a breath. You're not alone. Today's guest deeply understands what it means to lead through uncertainty and still spark something powerful. I'm joined by Sarena Diamond, the CEO and founder of Diamond Solutions Group. With over 3 decades of experience in global change leadership, Sarena helps leaders and teams not only navigate transformation, but engage with it in a way that's purposeful, people-centered, and grounded in values. She's a champion for innovation, a mentor, a collaborative storyteller, an author, and someone who believes in the power of process and heart. We're talking about what it really takes to lead through change, how to stay anchored when the ground keeps shifting, and why embracing the mess is sometimes the most strategic move we can make. I'm so excited to have you with us. Sarena is someone that I met recently, but I have to say, you're a very bright light. I just felt
Thank
that
you.
right away when I met you. And I was like, I need to have her on this podcast. Would you just share a little bit about yourself with our listeners?
Sure. Wonderful, warm welcome. I really appreciate that. We talked about when we first met, I am a corporate, I think some people are using the term escapee, but I am a recovered corporate transformation executive after 30 plus years that included really phenomenal locations like Accenture, Pepsi-Cola, and then a few other smaller places. And then I finished my career the second half at IBM. I'm really helping leaders transform the business. And now for the last 3.5 years, I have been out on my own as a solopreneur, working with some phenomenal companies, really enjoying the challenges that go with lots of mid-sized businesses trying to transform business as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. So, some of what I picked up on with everything that I've read about you is that you like to help leaders ignite that spark that enables them to see a path forward. But without the spark, it's more challenging, right, to see that path. So I'm curious, what does that look like when teams or organizations are in their own version of a messy middle? And what does it look like to help them out?
So it's funny, I almost always get called in, even when I was in corporate America, I would always get called in when things were really either off the rails or really slow, missing the mark, or oftentimes just not reaching the potential that either the leader thought that it could be, the pace that the leader expected. Some cases it's the board or the private equity firm or something along those lines, but it almost always was missed expectations. Now, I say that only because I would always love someone to plan for the messy middle before you get started, because you're going to have to go through it, but maybe it wouldn't be messy. And I oftentimes help leaders think about how the vision that they have for the outcomes that they're trying to drive, how that gets embraced by those people that actually have to affect the change, how that gets cascaded by their leadership teams as they go forward. And that's some of the biggest challenges I think that lots of teams struggle with, is that they don't have a vision for that.
Yeah, and you find out how strong a leader is when things are messy.
For sure. And a strength is a difficult word because there's plenty of leaders that believe that strength comes out in very difficult, very demanding ways, or I often see leaders that are the best leaders through the change. They're the ones that are the quiet ones that will bring in additional insights, make teams want to share and learn and be part of the solution. Those tend to be the strongest leaders, the ones that can never.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your own a personal messy middle for you? And it, could be a transition, it could be while you were working somewhere. Just share a little bit about that time and what it took to flow through it.
So it's funny. I probably have so many of them, right? I say to people all the time that I am good at helping navigate change now because I've learned a lot of lessons about how not to do it. Probably the one that resonates the most was that just before COVID, I was running the transformation of IBM's workforce management function. So 1,500 people globally supporting the 240,000 consultants that served IBM's clients on the consulting side. We were expected to adopt agile ways of working. We were one of the shared service functions. And IBM had gone through a very big to have all teams working in agile ways. And so that was our turn towards the end of the year prior, 2019. And then we had a great plan and we were going to follow what the other teams had done. In January and February, the plan was to bring in those teams that were globally located into the learning center over the course of the second half of the year of 2020. And we all know what happened. Here we are sitting in March talking about planning the rotations of bringing in teams from around the world to the IBM Learning Center, and the world shuts down. And we actually had one of the more senior leaders say, I think after about a couple of weeks, I think we're going to have to wait this out. They were going to pause on this global initiative that was going to dramatically transform and desperately needed to transform the way the function was working. I sat with that decision for a very short period of time because I knew we couldn't survive this way. There was just no physical way people could continue the way they were doing it. And I said, can we try an alternative? And I got the shrugged of the shoulders, fine, whatever. And most people, and I gotta say, nobody was making good decisions in late March and early April of 2020.
It was tricky.
Right. Nobody, unprecedented was the word. So I think that, and it was a little scary because I felt like I was unprotected in this plan to go out and create a virtual learning experience that nobody else in the company had done for these teams. I will say, always 2020, and if I had known how it was going to turn out, I would have said, let's not do them, bring everybody into the classroom for 5 days and then send them back. Because as a result, doing a different kind of rollout where it was virtual, where it was paced much differently, where it was in their home work locations, we were so much more effective in that we gave people exercises that they had to do in between the classroom sessions and all the right virtual education that we would do. But it changed the dynamic so that people were adopting the ways of working faster. They were using the tools more successfully than any of the other agile implementations had been across the company. And it became such a really proud moment for us because we recognized that in the face of this adversity, here we were not only just thriving, but we were really just making all kinds of changes. The best part is a year later, they were still using all of the same metrics, all of the same ways of working and tools. While it was messy in that moment, it was wildly successful.
Yeah. What you've just explained or shared is an example of what actually does happen when we move through that messy middle, right? It's like there's something on the other side, and oftentimes it's way better or bigger than we even imagined to begin with. I love that. A lot of the folks that are listening are the go-to people, right, for those around them. And, and that's true not just in the workforce, but, in their lives with their families and whatnot. What have you learned about leading without losing yourself?
Thank you so much. I would suspect that the go-to people in an organization are always the one. What is that thing about? You want something done, find a busy person. And it's always that challenge. I think the fact that leading without losing yourself or being the one that is really the struggle for me is that I look at that and I say those people tend to bring to any kind of situation, their own energy and their own ability to make things happen. And so they thrive and they really do very well when they are the one that is the go-to, the one that is the answer. Certainly they need to balance that. I often say to people, so pick something that is not your favorite thing to do and go create your go-to person. Who's your person that you would rely on? Because one of the things I think across the board for leaders that is under celebrated is the power of the network that you have around you. And I am 100% guilty for every day of my corporate life to not have done that well outside of my corporate existence.
Mhm.
I certainly relied on my peers within the company. But it's very interesting when you are in the middle, it is tremendously an echo chamber. And you cannot see that forest for the trees analogy. You're able to talk to people that truly understand the challenge, but can't give you any perspective.
Yeah.
So the same kinds of things that I did every single day at IBM and did not feel like I was all that special. What we were doing as a team was all that fantastic.
Yeah.
The moment I took the same brain that I had at IBM and same approaches to problems and took it to other client environments was unbelievably helpful. And I think, and that my go-to people that are created in the middle between leaving IBM and going out on my own was that network of people that I could start to share my ideas with and bounce things off of and get different perspectives. And I think leaders that are those go-tos, the one that gets everything done, that's always being relied on, we tend to absorb all of that and forget that there is power in sharing the experience with someone else and sharing those feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's brilliant what you just shared, especially that network building, because that's one of the things that I notice with so many of my clients, that's what they haven't taken the time for, and it becomes that thing that is just so valuable.
It's incredibly valuable, if for no other reason than creating a way to be able to talk to others
Mhm.
about everything from what it is that you do to what it is that you're thinking or worrying about.
Yeah,
You really do get perspective as a result of
definitely. You mentioned something about creating guiding coalition.
it.
I just love that phrase. Can you share a little bit about that?
And I do this, I ask clients to think about it within their companies. So many times leaders think they have to go it alone,
Mm.
that they are the ones that they're making it happen. They have to be the smartest ones in the room because that's what it means to have been promoted to leadership or their management. And what's really funny is that when you think about the ability to find others that can help with guidance in their own area, you get better, right? Just bouncing ideas off of somebody that is your peer doesn't have to be your corporate peer. It can just be your job responsibility peer, right? It can be somebody in another company. So the ability to do that and have a coalition of people that in some cases maybe guiding you in your career decisions, or even within a team. I did it recently with a leadership team that brought me in theoretically to help them with the strategy work that they were trying to do. And they wanted to do a couple of days strategic offsite, but they were very clear with me that they had some foundational problems in their leadership team. There was distrust. And we spent a lot of time talking about the responsibility of the team as a whole to be a guiding coalition for the rest of the organization. It wasn't all on the CEO. It was on the C-suite. It was on the leadership team. And that exists in every time there is a pod, a team, the senior manager amongst a group of the director. Those people need to come together and take some responsibility. I often use that if you were on Gilligan's Island all of a sudden, you got to figure it out. Right? There's no option. You got to figure it out. It's
Right.
right. And that's an important thing. Everybody has something to bring. Curiosity will help you figure out what it is, the unique skills the other people in your coalition can be to help you guide the organization or even your own career decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love that. So, what's something that you're really excited about right now?
I'll say I'm really excited about the fact that I set a tone for 2025. I wanted my impact to be bigger. Not that didn't want to serve more clients, but I have so much experience and I can only get to a few clients at a time to do this. And so I set a goal that I wanted to be speaking more. And on the Vistage speaking tour, I have just reached that point where I'm being visible and doing some of that speaking. But even more so, I love the fact that what I'm sharing from Vistage chairs as I'm talking to them about what I'm bringing is that I have this unique focus on organizational change management that's not very common in the leadership space today. They're not seeing a lot of people coming to how do you survive? How do you thrive in change? And how do you do it from a leadership perspective that doesn't mean that one, you have to know everything. You're not supposed to be the end all be all for every innovation that's ever come. You don't have to know all of the AI tools and everything. But even though you see it every day on Instagram, here's the things you should be doing.
Yeah.
The leadership team and the leadership skills that allow teams to thrive in a chaotic change time has been really, it's so well, I'm so excited about the opportunity to do more of that and to help more leaders. I am on a tear to make sure that nobody needs me because the better leaders get at leading their teams through change, the less they will need to rely on outside resources to say, here's how you're doing it, and here's what you should be doing to help your people come along with you on the journey of change.
Oh, that's a beautiful mission, right? Like to exist so you don't need me someday.
Yeah, you don't need me.
Sarena, what are some of the things that you do to ground yourself or have you done over time that support you?
So I really, it's not just preaching about the networking, having people in your life that are not like me. Now, I have lots of circles of friends, of circles of professional as well as personal. But a lot of that is often about how is it that what I'm doing? Can I ask some help? Can I am the worst, the absolute worst at saying, please help me. White flags are not part of my repertoire. I told someone recently I am a very standoffish DIYer, but I also am really curious about people that have expertise in things that I don't know. And so I will ask questions that will lead to a very clear indication that I am in over my head. And I have learned in the last 6 months that having someone else participate in my journey, even if it is something like a couple of hours of proofreading a presentation that I'm doing, or dry run with me, or looking at, I had somebody that helped me make a PDF version of a workbook that I was doing. And she did it in 5 minutes and she was sick. Right? And she'll just send it to me. It'll be so much faster than me explaining it to you, which is hard for me to do. I mean, accepting help has always, but what I have learned in the last 6 months is that the tightening of the relationship, the strengthening of that bond by being, it's not vulnerable. It's just allowing other people in and letting them be part of this journey has been so incredible. I've met some of the most brilliant people in their space. And they in turn, which struggles me sometimes, but they in turn think that I'm something special. So it's a really lovely way to be able to participate in this journey that we're all on. We all have one precious life. Other people witness and be part of that journey that you're on, and you in turn are part of their journey. It's such an amazing feeling to be part of that and that stuff.
That's right. Yeah. And I love what you were saying before about how this is what happens with the leaders and the organizations that you're supporting. They feel alone and actually supporting people in figuring out how it doesn't have to be that way.
And it doesn't have to be that way. Actually, it's better when it's not that way. And when they're truly that guiding coalition, that group, that force. To have an organization that doesn't feel like they are at odds, that the leadership team is at odds with each other, or you're better off if you're working for one tower of a silo of the organization or one boss. It is hugely impactful there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything that you would have said to yourself when you were younger and going through a messy time?
So many things. I would, and I see it there to leaders. There is so much power in being connected, and you don't have to be connected through your trade associations or your local, whatever the business associations are. There is power in the LinkedIn platform and the ability to connect with people that are like you. I am so guilty of just so many people. So from 2008 until literally 2022, LinkedIn was my repository for my resume and my celebration platform when people got jobs. And that was it. I can probably count on one hand the number of posts I made a year
Yeah.
that were based on anything other than that. I was missing this opportunity to go to some place where that's all people are talking about is their work. There's some people that talk about other things, but for the most part, it is what they're passionate about, what they've dedicated their brilliance to.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to be in that space when you're in corporate and you forget, you're not participating. How many people, every single client I get, I go and look at them on LinkedIn. It's part of the background.
Yeah.
It is amazing to me to see large corporate leaders with nothing on their profiles, no background. They've got one because somebody in marketing told them they had to have one. It may have their corporate press release or announcement, but that's the end of it. And what's so funny is that the ability to represent you as a leader, your personal brand of leadership in this space is hugely impactful.
Yeah.
So I would tell my younger self, don't ever lose that, because I only did it like most people in between until this last. And now I'm determined, even when I'm right now very busy with a bunch of client engagements, and I'm still making every single day. There's a part of my day that I check,
Yeah.
look at my network and stay connected there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. So I'm hearing personal brand and building that network, not just in face to face, but also on LinkedIn. Where you're going to
Correct.
find
Yep.
people. So is there anything else that you'd like to say to folks who are in that messy middle?
Mostly just one, two things. Keep going because it does get better. I often use the analogy for leaders that it's like the waves on the ocean, maybe because I moved to the beach that's recently, but it's kind of like the waves on the beach. There's sort of three levels of waves, right? You're standing on the edge of the beach when the waves are just rushing against your feet. And then there's that part all the way out where the waves aren't coming yet. You can see them hitting the shore, but you can't touch down. So you are swimming hard. And the part in the middle, which is really the messy middle, is where every single wave has the opportunity to knock you down and throw you right, turn you over. And it's hard to be all the way out where you're always swimming. And it's not very effective to stay on the shore. So it really is that navigating between the thrusters. So keep going wherever you are. And the other thing is, reach out, find those people that can inspire you, can make you say, oh gosh, I'm never doing it like they've done it, or can just help you to bounce ideas off of. I am always open, always open to any virtual coffee, any kind of a brainstorming idea. If somebody wants to get together and just consult, let's just talk freebie stuff. Not like we're not going to solve the scope of your work, but we'll come up with some really good ideas, because that is what we're all supposed to be about, is helping each other, bringing that together as a store.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarena. Thanks for listening to Thriving in the Messy Middle. Some weeks, you'll hear me in conversation with extraordinary women. Other weeks will be solo episodes where I'll share mindset shifts to help you thrive right where you are. And don't forget, you'll also find my messy middle moments in your feed. These are short solo reflections with a quick burst of clarity and encouragement to help you stay grounded. So be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if today spoke to you, share it with a friend or leave a review. This really helps others find the show. And check out the show notes for everything we mentioned today. And for more articles, resources, and ways we can work together, visit chooseaw.com. I'll leave you with this. You are the most worthwhile project you will ever work on. So until next time, keep thriving, even in the messy middle.